So, um, very recently I had made a game review. Obviously, if y'all haven't seen it, Blasphemous, one of my favorite games. But recently I have, with some persuasion of a few people that I know of, won't say their names, I have decided to go back into a game. After getting back into the game, I figured, and I've always, and for a while I've wanted to make a review. Sorry for the backdrop, I'm working on that, but anyways, it's something that I've been wanting to talk about for a while. A game that one of my most played games ever. I think probably the game that I think I spent the most time on ever. It is a game that I have very strong feelings, not just towards, but strong opinions of as well. That being Wild Rift. Which, if you don't know what Wild Rift is, it's essentially League of Legends, but just on your phone, pretty much. Um, with that in mind, however, there is some slight differences. For starters, the games are a lot shorter in Wild Rift. Um, there is a. It's hard to explain since I haven't really played League of Legends. But I know they're very similar. The only difference that I can really think of at the moment is that one has all of the characters and all the champions released, while Wild Rift is still releasing characters as the game goes. So, and the fact that the games are a lot faster in Wild Rift. So I don't really know that many differences, to be honest. With that being said, I I see it's hard for me because the reason why I say I recently got back into Wild Rift was because it was because I had quit. I had quit the game. I've taken a break for I think about a year now until obviously recently I got back into it. And there's a reason for that which I will get into later, but think of it like it's a basically sorry, I keep talking in circles. Um there's a lot I want to talk about with this game. One of the main things I want to talk about is it is a competitive, to people who don't know, it's a competitive 5v5 game. It's a MOBA. Um, and essentially, what MOBAs are is a 5v5 team based competitive, I would like to say strategy game, not strategy game. Fairly nuanced game. There's 5 roles specifically. There's a top lane, mid lane, a duo, and then jungle. Each with their own unique roles and different things that you do with their own champion pools. Which there are a bunch of champions in this game. There are a bunch. I'm not sure how many there are in League of Legends, but I know for Wild Rift, even though the full roster isn't out yet, which is crazy to think about, there's a lot to go over. Um, Pros are that for starters, there's a lot of champions to play, just a whole lot of gameplay and styles to choose from. A lot of champions. Um, it's a 5v5 team game, so obviously you can play with your friends, co-op, or shall I say in this instance duo. You get 3-man, 5-man. You pretty much like any competitive online game, PvP type of game, you can run it with your friends. Like I said before, there's a bunch of champions you can play, and when I mean there's a lot of champions, there are a lot of champions. Some more popular than others, some more stronger than others, obviously, but again, it doesn't really matter too much. Like I think overall, you can pretty much like play any character in Wild Rift, in my opinion, and you can still do pretty well. I've um, failed to think of any champions that you don't, that I haven't seen played. Like, obviously better than others, but I think overall you can pretty much play any champion, play any role that you want. Preferences, obviously. And I think if you're, especially with the release of the Arcane series, I think that it's, or with the, I guess the push to make League of Legends into more mainstream TV series. I think there's a very, I think right now it's a very good shot into getting to League of Legends. With that being said, should you get into League of Legends, or in my case, Wild Rift? I mean, look, I like Wild Rift. I've played it for a very long time, up until recently when I got back into it. But I have to admit, the game is very competitive, which unfortunately comes with a lot of toxicity. I think the game can get very toxic at times, especially if you're not running it with friends. Like in solo queue, I think you're going to have a very frustrating time. Not only that, but if you're new to the game in general and never played any MOBAs, you are going to have a very, very hard time getting into a game like this. It's very complicated. There's a lot of different game mechanics that you have to manage and balance while playing. A bunch of different roles, a bunch of different champions that you best believe you're going to have to learn how they operate and how they play. You also got to figure out some of the more like team-based aspects of it. When I mean team-based, I mean like roaming around the map, getting to different objectives, which if you don't know what objectives are, they're basically things that are very important to the game that you essentially are prioritized to get. That if you don't get, you're going to be in serious trouble. And it's a very competitive and very, it's just a clusterfuck of a game that is very hard to get into if you're new. Which is why I don't really recommend it unless you're really adamant on getting into Wild Rift or just MOBAs in general. Yeah, and don't forget all the annoying bullshit, the smurfing as well. There's a lot of smurfing that comes with this game. Obviously the toxicity, and depending upon what role you get, the toxicity can be really bad, because there are some roles that are very important in some stages of the game, and then there's one of the main roles I play. I'll give you an example, is jungle. Jungle, I would argue, is the most important role in the game. You might be asking yourself why. Is because you're basically the main guy who's going to get the objectives. Specifically two: Dragon and Rift Herald. Dragon basically gives you a buff the entire game if you kill a dragon. There's three, and then there's the big strong dragon thing. I don't know what it's called. I think it's Elder Drag. Then there's Rift Herald, which at the start summons a big minion that goes into these things called towers, which you have to protect throughout the game, which then protect your nexus, and if you destroy the enemy team's nexus, you win, and vice versa, right? And the thing to do it with that you have is called Smite, which can get stronger the more you use it. Basically, your main goal is to not only get objectives, but to gank and basically set up. Again, it's really hard to explain, but you're essentially the main. You're the guy who's going to get the objectives, and you're going to set up routes of attack in order to, or what I would like to call ganks. You're try to get kills, try to get your team fed, this, that, the third. It's again, I'm doing such a shitty job in explaining it, but it's very important role. And if you're not very good at that role, or if you do poorly in a game, you're going to get flamed. You are like most of the time you're going to get flamed by somebody, and it's going to suck really bad. And also, with that being said, it's really addicting in the worst way possible. The amount of sleep I've lost playing Wild Rift, I don't even want to say, because it's so embarrassing and so annoying that it's like, God, dude, it's really bad. The amount of sleep and amount of hours I put into this game. The point is that I really like Wild Rift, and I think if you want to get into, if you're just getting into MOBAs and want to play a MOBA that's like really difficult, I think this is the one for you. However, keep in mind, you're going to get into a very competitive game, and yeah, it's just going to be really tough, honestly. My suggestion would be to play with friends if you can. Um, Also, to try to play every role and try to learn as much as you can, because you're gonna need it. But yeah, like I said, I think Wild Rift can be a good game, but overall, I I think there are just some games that are just going to be better, not just long term, but just for your mental. Like I don't think, like if you get angry really really quickly, you're not gonna like Wild Rift at all. It's really it's that type of game. Which if you're okay with and you're a competitive guy, go for it, dude. Honestly, Wild Rift is a game for you. But if you're not competitive and you're just trying to have fun, play with your friends, I don't know if Wild Rift's the best option. But like I said, I'll leave it up to you guys. Thank you all for watching. Peace out.